Most people believe fat loss begins with the scale, or with calories, or with exercise. But science tells a very different story. Fat loss begins in an organ that quietly controls your metabolism every single day. Your liver. Right now, your liver is working nonstop. It filters toxins from your blood. It regulates cholesterol. It balances blood sugar. It determines how efficiently fat is burned or stored. And yet, for most people, the liver is completely overlooked when weight loss becomes difficult, especially after the age of 50. Here is something that surprises many people. You can eat less than you did in your 40s. You can walk more than you used to. You can even follow what looks like a healthy diet, and still struggle with stubborn belly fat. This isn't a lack of discipline. It isn't aging catching up to you. And it isn't because your body is broken. It's because fat has quietly accumulated inside the liver. This condition doesn't always cause pain. It doesn't always show obvious symptoms. And many people have no idea it's happening. But metabolically, it changes everything. When fat builds up inside liver cells, the liver becomes less sensitive to insulin. Blood sugar regulation becomes impaired. Fat-burning signals weaken. And the body shifts into energy conservation mode. In simple terms, your body stops trusting that it's safe to burn fat. Instead, it stores it. This is why so many people say, "I barely eat but I keep gaining weight." Or, "No matter what I do, the fat won't come off." The liver is the metabolic gatekeeper. If that gate is congested, fat loss slows down, no matter how hard you push. Now here's the part that should give you hope. The liver is also one of the most responsive and resilient organs in the human body. Unlike fat cells, which are stubborn, liver cells adapt quickly. They respond to daily signals. They adjust their metabolism based on what you consume. And research shows liver fat can begin decreasing in weeks when the right biological conditions are restored. Not through extreme detox programs. Not through starvation diets. And not through risky supplements. But through natural compounds found in certain everyday drinks. This is where modern nutrition science becomes incredibly empowering. Researchers studying metabolic health discovered that specific beverages contain bioactive compounds that directly influence liver fat metabolism. These compounds don't force fat loss. They don't stress the body. Instead, they help the liver do its job more efficiently. They support pathways that improve insulin sensitivity, enhance fat oxidation, and reduce fat accumulation inside liver cells, activate brown fat thermogenesis, calm chronic metabolic inflammation. When these pathways are supported, fat loss becomes easier, not because you're trying harder but because your metabolism is no longer working against you. This is especially important for people over 50. As we age, muscle mass naturally declines. Metabolic flexibility decreases. Recovery slows. And the body becomes more sensitive to metabolic stress. This means aggressive approaches often backfire. Extreme calorie restriction increases stress hormones. Overtraining raises inflammation. Quick fixes disrupt hormonal balance. The liver senses this stress and responds by holding onto fat. But when the liver senses stability and nutritional support, it does the opposite. It allows stored fat to be released. That's why supporting the liver is not about punishment. It's about cooperation. Now, an important clarification. These drinks are not magic. They are not cures. And they do not replace medical care. What they do is restore conditions where fat metabolism can function properly again. Think of them as metabolic messengers. They send signals to the liver that say, it's safe to process fat. It's safe to improve insulin response. It's safe to increase energy use. This is not hype. These mechanisms are documented in peer-reviewed research. In this video, we'll explore 5 specific drinks that scientists have studied for their effects on liver health and fat metabolism. We'll explain how each one works, what compounds are responsible, and why consistency matters more than quantity. No trends, no fads, no exaggerated promises, just biology. Because when you understand how the liver truly controls fat loss, everything else begins to make sense. And once the liver is supported, fat loss no longer feels like a battle. It becomes a natural outcome. Now that we understand why the liver plays such a central role in fat loss, the next question becomes obvious. What can we do, daily, realistically, and safely, to support it? The answer is not extreme restriction. It's not aggressive cleanses. And it's not expensive supplements. It's strategic nourishment. Scientists studying metabolic health have identified certain drinks that contain naturally occurring compounds capable of influencing liver fat metabolism in meaningful ways. These drinks don't act overnight. They don't shock the system. They work subtly through well-documented biological pathways. Let's begin with the first. Drink number 1, green tea. Green tea has been studied extensively for its metabolic effects, particularly on liver fat. Its key compounds are catechins, especially one called EGCG. EGCG has been shown to influence fat oxidation by activating enzymes involved in breaking down stored fat. But more importantly, it improves how liver cells respond to insulin. When insulin sensitivity improves, the liver reduces its tendency to store fat. Green tea also helps calm oxidative stress inside liver cells. This matters because oxidative stress interferes with normal fat metabolism. For people over 50, this is especially important because oxidative stress increases naturally with age. Green tea doesn't force the liver to burn fat. It restores efficiency. That distinction matters. Drink number 2, black coffee without sugar or cream. Coffee often gets misunderstood. But when consumed without added sugar or heavy cream, coffee becomes one of the most researched beverages for liver health. Coffee contains polyphenol and diterpenes that stimulate liver enzymes involved in detoxification and fat metabolism. Large population studies consistently show that regular coffee consumption is associated with lower levels of liver fat and reduced markers of liver stress. Coffee also helps regulate adiponectin, a hormone involved in fat breakdown and insulin sensitivity. When adiponectin levels improve, the body becomes more efficient at using fat for energy. This doesn't mean more is better. Moderation matters. But 1 to 2 cups of plain black coffee can send a powerful metabolic signal to the liver. Drink number 3, green smooth drinks rich in fiber. Liquids don't usually contain fiber, unless they're designed to. Smooth drinks made with leafy greens, vegetables, and low-glycemic fruits can deliver soluble fiber directly to the gut. Why does this matter for the liver? Because fiber slows glucose absorption, reducing blood sugar spikes. When blood sugar remains stable, the liver receives fewer signals to convert excess glucose into fat. Fiber also feeds beneficial gut bacteria, which produce short-chain fatty acids that influence liver fat metabolism. This is an indirect but powerful pathway. A calm gut sends calmer metabolic signals to the liver. This reduces inflammation and supports fat oxidation over storage. Drink number 4, unsweetened fermented beverages. Fermented drinks like kefir or diluted fermented vegetable juices introduce beneficial microbes into the digestive system. These microbes help regulate inflammation and improve metabolic signaling between the gut and the liver. Researchers now describe this as the gut-liver axis. When the gut environment is balanced, inflammatory signals decrease. When inflammation decreases, the liver becomes more responsive to insulin. This allows fat metabolism to normalize. Again, this isn't about large quantities. Small, consistent exposure matters more than volume. Drink number 5, water with polyphenol-rich additions. Sometimes the most effective drink starts with water. Adding ingredients like lemon peel, apple cider vinegar in small amounts, or berry infusions introduces polyphenol without sugar overload. These compounds help activate enzymes involved in fat metabolism and improve insulin response. Hydration itself is critical. Dehydration slows liver function and reduces fat oxidation. When the liver lacks water, it prioritizes survival, not optimization. Hydrated liver cells function more efficiently. Now here's something critical to understand. None of these drinks work in isolation. They work because they remove metabolic obstacles. They reduce insulin resistance. They calm inflammation. They restore enzyme function. And when those obstacles are removed, the liver resumes its natural role. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. Drinking 1 cup occasionally won't change much. But daily exposure creates cumulative biological signals. Signals that say, energy is available. Stress is lower. Fat can be processed safely. This is how sustainable fat loss happens. Not through force, but through alignment. At this point, something important should feel clear. Fat loss is not a battle of willpower. It is a conversation between your body's systems. And the liver sits at the center of that conversation. For years we were taught to focus only on calories, to eat less, to move more, to push harder. But biology doesn't respond well to force, especially after the age of 50. The body responds to signals. When the liver receives signals of chronic stress, low calories, blood sugar spikes, inflammation, it shifts into protection mode. Fat storage increases. Metabolism slows. Energy becomes conserved. This is not failure. It is survival. But when the liver receives signals of stability, nourishment and balance, something very different happens. Fat metabolism improves. Insulin sensitivity increases. Inflammation calms. And stored fat becomes accessible again. That is the role these drinks play. They are not fat burners. They are not shortcuts. They are signals. Signals that tell the liver it is safe to function normally again. This distinction matters. Because when people expect instant results, they often give up too soon. The liver does not change overnight. But it does change reliably. Research shows improvements in liver fat markers can begin within weeks when metabolic stress is reduced. Blood sugar control improves first. Energy levels stabilize next. And only then does visible fat loss follow. This sequence is important. When people chase the scale, they often miss the real progress happening underneath. A calmer liver means fewer cravings. A more responsive metabolism means better energy. Better energy leads to more natural movement. This is how sustainable fat loss unfolds. Quietly, gradually, reliably. And this is why extreme approaches often fail. Crash diets starve the liver of nutrients it needs to process fat. Aggressive cleanses increase oxidative stress. Overtraining raises cortisol, which signals the liver to store energy, not release it. The liver is not stubborn. It is protective. It responds to how safe the environment feels. That's why simple, consistent habits outperform dramatic ones, especially later in life. A cup of green tea each day. Plain coffee in moderation. Fiber-rich drinks that stabilize blood sugar. Fermented beverages that calm inflammation. Proper hydration with polyphenol support. These are not trends. They are tools. Tools that work because they align with biology. Now, an important reminder. This information is not meant to replace medical care. It is not a diagnosis, and it is not a cure. But it reflects a growing understanding in modern science. Health is not about overpowering the body. It's about supporting its design. Your liver was built to process fat efficiently. Your metabolism was designed to adapt. Even after 50. Even after years of metabolic stress. Aging does not mean decline. It means sensitivity. The body becomes more responsive to both harm and support. And that means your choices matter more, not less. Every drink is a signal. Every habit sends a message. The question is not, am I doing enough? The question is, what signals am I sending? When those signals change, the body changes. Not all at once, but steadily. And when the liver begins to work with you instead of against you, fat loss stops feeling like a fight. It becomes a natural outcome of balance. That is the science. That is the physiology. And that is the opportunity. Because supporting your liver is not about chasing weight loss. It's about restoring metabolic trust. And when that trust returns, the body remembers what to do.